about the London pool, because that was actually something I learned through your website, and it seems like pretty much the rigging of the gold price was just an openly done thing for a long time
Yes,
before
yeah,
the Bretton Woods agreement.
that's exactly it. It used to be very open public policy through the London Gold Pool from 1960 to, I think, March 1968. That was where the United States and I think 7 other governments in Europe got together in a scheme of dishoarding their gold reserves through the London gold market as necessary to hold the public gold price to the $35 an ounce set by the Bretton Woods agreement in 1944. In 1968, the pool began to come under great stress because investors began to realize that the gold price really should be a lot higher, given the amount of money creation that was going on, the amount of spending in the United States by the government on the Vietnam War and social programs. And there began to be a great amount of offtake of gold from the London gold pool, and then France broke away from it. And the participating governments began to realize they had only a few months of gold reserves left if the offtake continued at these levels. And for a while, the United States was flying emergency Air Force cargo plane shipments of gold from Fort Knox over to the Bank of England in London, because the Bank of England was advancing its own gold to the gold pool on the credit of the United States. The offtake became too big as people realized gold was underpriced and began to take it away from the gold pool. And I believe it was in March 1968 where the United States government asked the British government to close the London gold pool. And we had a brief few years of a more or less free trading gold price before the U.S. and its allies decided to encourage the operation of a gold futures market, which made it much easier for big players, including the governments, to control the gold price, because it could use leverage. It could use what's called paper gold. It did not have to spend so much gold from national reserves to keep the price down. It could sell virtually infinite amounts of imaginary gold, and as long as the mainstream financial press didn't point this out, the public could be fooled.
Yeah, exactly. And so why do you think they chose to end it like that and just end the Bretton Woods agreement? If there was kind of a run on gold and they couldn't keep it at the price of $35, why wouldn't they just increase the price?
If they increased the price, they would be devaluing their currencies against gold. They would be really impugning their own currencies against gold. And sometimes governments do that. Governments use gold for devaluation purposes. Now, the gold wasn't completely delinked from the Western currency system until 1971. The gold pool closed in 1968. So we had a few years between the closing of the gold pool and the total removal of gold from the Western financial system. And then it was really another 3 years before the futures market in gold was created in New York. So that intervening period, there was more volatility and fluctuation in the gold price because governments had not yet settled on new mechanisms of price control. But once the gold futures market was established in New York in, I guess, 1974, they had another mechanism that could be used for gold price suppression.
Yeah. So you